Good afternoon and welcome. Good morning if you're tuning in from any part of the world where it's just morning. Good evening if you're anywhere other than New York. And good afternoon if you are in New York. My oven keeps going off on me. I don't know why. What does it want from me? Good afternoon and welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. Today you are in my kitchen in Queens. We are not making curry, but we are going to make a very well-requested dish. I get asked about it all the time. And it's nothing than our very humble cauliflower with potatoes. This dish is very, very common in Indian households. It's pretty much a staple, especially in the winter time, because Indian food is almost always eaten seasonally. If you don't know me, I am Nupur or Chef Nupur or just Nupur. I am the owner of Queen's Curry Kitchen, a culinary instruction school. I do classes online for Indian cooking. I also have a meal delivery service for residents of New York City and Queens, and I have spices and spice blends that I sell on my website. So that's enough about me. Let's get right down to the recipe. For all the people that are tuning in, thank you for joining in. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you've chosen to spend some time out of this Sunday afternoon with me, I totally appreciate that. If you're new to my page, make sure this is not the last time that you're following me, because I need your love and support. So let's just see where all the flavor lovers are. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from so I can greet you in the appropriate manner. If you are new to Indian food, let me know by a thumbs up. Let me know if this is your first experience learning how to cook anything to do with Indian food. And if you love Indian food, then hey, you're at the right place at the right time, okay? So I'm gonna flip the camera. I will keep my eye on the comments. I will try to respond as much as I can, but I will flip the camera so you can get a good view of what is happening on the stovetop, right? So this is the view right here. I hope you're getting a good sense of what we're doing. Here I have one small cauliflower that I've taken and I've cut it into florets. And I also have two medium-sized potatoes that I have cut into 8 pieces, right? So everything is here. I've actually started to cut back on the amount of potatoes that I use in my Indian cooking. Typically, every North Indian dish involves potatoes. So it's gobi aloo, bhindi aloo, aloo karele, aloo in everything. Aloo is the Hindi word for potatoes. And I've really consciously started to intentionally cut back on the amount of potatoes that we use in our food, because my family tends to eat very late in the night and I don't want them to eat too much, carb heavy stuff, okay? So good morning everybody, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. You are in my kitchen and we are going to make cauliflower with potatoes, which is also gobi aloo, right? So if you've gone to your favorite takeout place and you've eaten it, this is nothing like that. Most takeout places will make this dish with a curry or a gravy. At home, when we make it, there is no gravy. It's pretty much a dry dish. We're going to use some very basic spices for this. We're going to start out with some cumin seeds. This is my trusty masala box, and every live that I do, I always talk about my masala box. This is the Indian spice box, which is a staple in every Indian home. It's stainless steel. It comes with a cover and it comes with a little stainless steel spoon. If you want to get one of these, it's available on my website. You can head over there and see all the spices that it comes with. That's an option. If you don't want to leave this live, just drop me a DM and send me a link or send me a heart and tell me that you want to know more about the masala spice. I will come to the benefits of this masala box in just a moment, but let's get the recipe started. The oil is nice and hot. I am cooking with light olive oil. You can cook with any oil of your choice, less or more is all up to you. When you cut any kind of potatoes or any kind of vegetables, you kind of learn it by experience as to how much time it's going to take for the vegetable to get tender and for the potatoes to completely cook, right? So there you have to know just from the size of it and your experience what the size needs to be so that you will be able to cook them at the same time. And it's not like the potatoes will be mushed and the cauliflower will be raw, or the cauliflower will be mushed and the potatoes will be raw. That's not what the look we're going for, okay? Now, if you have ginger at home, definitely put ginger into this dish. I have run out, so I don't have any today. So I'm just going to rely on my cumin seeds. As soon as the cumin seed starts to crackle, I am going to put in my washed cauliflower and potatoes in here. I'm only cooking for 2 people, so 1 small head of cauliflower and 2 potatoes are sufficient. The heat is medium-high. Just because I've turned the camera down, please don't feel shy in commenting, or if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I will be looking at my screen from time to time. So I will be able to answer all of your questions and concerns. And while this is tempering, I will also get on the process of making rotis. You will see that on the live today because I get a lot of questions about rotis as well, okay? So I'm just adding sea salt. You can add Himalayan pink salt or whatever kind of salt that you eat. The next spice that's going in from my spice box is coriander seed powder, which is also called dhania powder, right? I'm gonna add some turmeric. Now in most recipes that you see where people of non-Indian origin cook Indian food, they just put a shit ton of turmeric. Please don't do that. You don't really need that much turmeric, okay? It's gonna burn the insides of your intestines. You don't want that. I'm adding paprika. If you eat cayenne pepper, you can add cayenne pepper. Paprika gives it a really nice color. I'm also going to add a Indian curry powder or my Punjabi masala. And I'm gonna add some dry fenugreek herbs or kasuri methi. The way you add this is you take it in your palm and then you crush it. Hello Vivian, how are you? Welcome. And then you drop it in. The warmth of your palm actually activates the oils and then it helps to release all those flavors into here. So we're just gonna give it a good stir. Just mix everything up, make sure all the spices are coated on to the cauliflower florets. You can turn the heat down a little bit so that your spices do not burn. If you feel like your spices are running away with you and they're burning, you can always add a splash of water. That never hurt anybody. It controls the temperature of your wok and then it prevents anything from burning, right? So give it a gentle toss, make sure everything is in there homogeneous. Now we're gonna go in and add some cilantro. Hey Karen, hey Rusty, hey Giggles, welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. We are making cauliflower with potatoes and we'll be making some nice hot rotis to go with this. Hey Thomas, hey Raj, welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen. It looks good already. Oh, thank you Vivian, that's really sweet of you. Okay, so there's no such thing as too much cilantro. If you don't have a thing for cilantro, absolutely skip this step, okay? You can add ginger juliennes or you can add some, green bell peppers for color. So we're just going to let this simmer a little bit. I am going to add a little bit of water just to give my spices enough time to do its thing. And I'll put a cover so that in the little bit of water that I'm going to add, steam is going to get generated and the cauliflower will cook, okay? Let me just take some comments and if you have any questions, I can take those and then we'll jump right into roti making. So yes, coming back to the masala box, this is a great resource to have. For one thing, it only takes a little bit of your spices at a time, right? You can see it has a very small capacity. So it can only hold this much. These ramekins, they can only hold that much. And the advantage of that is that all of your big jars of masala that you have stored away in a dark, cool place, they don't get exposed to moisture or air. And so they're able to preserve their potency for a longer time. So whatever you need on the daily, on the weekly, you can actually refill into your masala box. If you don't have a masala box and wish to get one, like I said, it's on my website, Queen's Curry Kitchen. Head over there. You can order it. Shipping is free all over the US, so you'll be able to get it, okay? So let me just say a quick hello to BB, who just joined in. Robert is joining in. Robert Lamb, BB, hello, hello. If there are any questions that you have, you can always ask me along the way. They may scroll a little bit faster, but I will keep my eye on the screen, okay? Shara, welcome to Queen's Curry Kitchen. Now on this other side, what I have is I'm going to get my roti making process going and I will show you exactly what it entails and how do we do that every single day. All these Indian women and Pakistani women and Bangladeshi women and Nepalese women making rotis in South Asia. How do we do it? All right. So the first prerequisite for making rotis is a pan. You know what I can do? I should actually shift this over here and bring this here. No. Okay, let's just keep it like this, right? So you need a pan. It's called a tawa. Ideally, it should be a cast iron pan, but I'm going to use a non-stick one because I just don't have the arm strength to pick up cast iron pans. I'm going to do that. I've already kneaded the dough for the rotis. And for that, I've used Indian whole wheat flour. It's called Durham flour. And the brand that I use is called Golden Temple. So I've already kneaded the dough. Hey Shara, good afternoon. The dough, the proportion to the flour to water is for 2 cups of flour, you need 1 cup of water. and this is what the dough looks like. Add the water slowly. Yesterday when I did the puri making video, I shared some tips and tricks on how you know that the dough is ready. So this is nice and smooth. It's been resting in the fridge. I don't necessarily make the dough every day. Once I make the dough, I literally use it for a couple of days, and then I make the fresh dough, right? But rotis I make fresh. And there are certain things that go really well with rotis, whereas certain other dishes go very well with rice. So you really have to know what you're in the mood for. If you're gluten-free, then roti is obviously not for you. Hey Tim, good afternoon. How are you today? Okay, let me just bring you into the gobi aloo and show you what's going on with it right now. You can see the water is generating some steam and the vegetables are beginning to steam up. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and add some tomato puree. I don't have fresh tomatoes today, but if you have fresh, then add a combination of both. The tomato puree adds a nice rich red color, and the fresh tomatoes give it a nice texture. So if you have both, add both. I don't have both, so I'm only going to use my puree. The two things that I'm missing today are ginger and fresh tomatoes. If you have those, by all means, please add those. Just going to give it a good mix. Just make sure everything is homogeneous. And then we're going to put the lid back on. Also, when you use fresh tomatoes, you will see that they will release a lot of moisture, and that will again contribute to the steam, and it'll help the gobi to cook better. Okay, so that's kind of like the plan. All right, so coming back to our roti 101, I've already made the dough. I'm gonna flip the camera again that far so you can see what's going on over here. Now I have black granite countertops, right? And I have a black stove. This is all black. So my biggest pet peeve was that every time I would make roti, the dry flour would make such a mess. It would drive me crazy. So this is my solution that I came up with. I actually ordered a silicone mat, which is like a pie rolling mat. I ordered this, and then I scoot it right next to my stove top. There's literally no gap between this and this, right? So I scoot it right up here. What that does is it really prevents my countertop from getting loaded with flour, and it also helps me to clean up. So I just gather up the mat, I wash it, I scrub it, and I put it away. Oh, so Tim has been food prepping all day. Oh my God, Tim, I'm so proud of you. All right, so for roti making, you're going to need a simple rolling pin. You're going to need a flat surface. You will need some dry flour to dredge the dough in so that you can shape it and it won't stick. And of course, we're going to go with the dough that we already needed. If you need a dough making tutorial, drop a comment below. I'm going to make sure that I do it in one of the upcoming lives, and I'll do it for you. I'm just trying to find the tongs so that I can flip the rotis. Ah, there it is. Okay, all right. And you're going to need a trusty pair of tongs to flip the rotis, okay? So we are just going to keep this right here. We're also going to need a roti box to keep them nice and warm. This is my roti box from India. It's handmade and it has these magnolias that are on it. It's wooden. So basically what I'll do is I'll put in a damp tea towel in here, and then I'll put the rotis and I'll cover it. So it's going to keep them warm and fresh without drying out, right? So this is ready to hold our rotis. The pan is on medium high. Now I'm going to go ahead and start rolling the rotis, and we will talk about the tips and tricks that you need at that time, right? So I will try to keep my eye on the screen so I can answer any questions that you have. If you've ever tried to make rotis at home, definitely drop a comment and let me know what was your experience like. It does take a while to actually perfect getting them round, so it's definitely a skill. Okay, so when you make the ball, just tighten your hands and then kind of press it here so that it's actually going to become a disc and not a ball. You can see it's flat. It's flat right here. It's almost like a disc, right? So make sure it's nice and round, and then you bring it in and you press it. When you press it down, you also can take your two fingers and pinch the sides to make sure that your sides are not thick. Usually one of the biggest problems that happens with rotis is that the center is thin but the sides are thick, and so they stay raw even after cooking, right? If you like what you see, send some stars, send some hearts, so I know that you are picking up whatever I'm putting out. Okay, we're gonna dredge it in the dry flour, shake it off a little bit, and then you're gonna go in with the rolling pin. This is just a regular rolling pin. There's no oil, no ghee, nothing on it. Just a regular rolling pin made of wood. And the motion that you have to use here is actually a back and a forth. It's not like pie dough where you have to just push in one direction and not pull it back. It's going to be in both directions. So you go front and back, and then you flip it 90 degrees, and then again you go front and back, flip it 90 degrees, front and back, 90 degrees, front and back, 90 degrees. Now, I don't use this circle thing as a guide because I really don't need to. I've been making rotis for many, many years, and it's okay if they're not perfectly round. That's totally fine. It's not the end of the world. And if you're new to roti making, then you know what? Give yourself time and patience because it's definitely a skill, right? So when you hold the rolling pin, one hand is tight and the other one is kind of loose, so you can actually allow the room for the rolling pin to move. And that's what brings out the elasticity of the dough so that your rotis will be nice and soft when you make them, right? So just keep giving it a flip and stretch it in whichever direction you feel like the shape is out of whack. The pan is nice and hot, so we're gonna go in. I am going to clean the surface of the pan. There's already some dry flour, which I don't want to burn. Okay, so before we get into the roti making process, I'm just going to take a quick peek at the gobi aloo and see how it's doing. I'm going to bring you in and show you what it looks like. Oh, it smells so good in here. Okay, so you can see my heat is medium to low and it's already been sizzling. The steam is kicking up and you can see that nice rich color developing. Now, if you wanted to add protein to this dish, and that's not something that we traditionally do, but if you wanted to add protein to this dish, you could add a can of chickpeas to it. If you wanted to add greens to it, you could add a bunch of spinach to it. So even though we try to cook traditionally, we have also evolved in the way we cook Indian food in our homes. And sometimes we do those kind of things, especially if you have picky eaters or whatever, right? Now you have to be mindful that the potatoes should not be raw. So let's just quickly check on the potatoes. One way that you'll know the potatoes are raw is that it'll still have sharp edges. You see how the edges are sharp? So when you have sharp edges, you know that the potatoes are still raw. When the edges start to soften, then you know that it's cooked. You see, like I have to literally put pressure to cut through it. So definitely it's raw. Just give it a good stir. If you feel like there's not enough moisture or not enough liquid at the bottom of the pan, just add a couple of tablespoons. Just a couple of tablespoons. And stir it. One thing I forgot to add was black pepper. Now, whenever you use something with turmeric, definitely add black pepper. It definitely helps to absorb the turmeric for the body. Tim, I'm making cauliflower with potato. It's called gobi aloo. Okay, so I just added a little black pepper. And I don't use any heat, but if you like heat in your food, you can always add Thai chilies, you can add jalapenos, whatever you want. Make it according to your family's taste, right? This recipe is also in my book, The Vegan Indian Home, which is available as an instant download if you go to my website, queenscurrykitchen.com. So if you want to follow this recipe, you can always get back to the website and get the book there. Or you can send me a DM, or you can, I'll make sure that it's uploaded to my YouTube channel so that you'll be able to catch it there as well, okay? So we're just going to put this down. The pan is nice and hot. I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit. Okay, now you're going to increase the heat. And you're going to cook this till it becomes a little bit translucent, right? So you see how it's kind of not, it's looking wet on the edges, but it looks translucent in the middle. So we're going to wait till it gets tiny bubbles all around and it doesn't look wet. So it's going to start drying almost immediately. You do need enough moisture in your dough. You do need enough water in your dough so that the steam that will be generated from that is going to help to puff up the rotis. So when you get small bubbles like this, you see these tiny bubbles that are forming? Now you know it's time to give it a flip. Okay? So we're going to give it a flip. So usually what happens is by the road, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to stay with you guys so we can go through this process. In the time that it takes to make the two rotis, the sabzi or the gobi aloo will be ready and we will be ready to serve. Okay? Now the second side is the side that you have to cook for a little bit longer, and you have to take a clean tea towel and just press it around the edges And then this is the side you have to cook for a little bit longer because you're going to wait to get these brown spots on the underside, right? So that's the goal. When you get those brown spots, you know it's trying to flip again. So now you're going to take this and you're going to take it off the pan. You put it directly on the flame. And it's going to puff up like this. You see this? That's what you're going for. This will only happen if you've kneaded the dough properly, if there are no cracks and creases in your rolled roti, and also if there's enough moisture in your dough, right? So that's done. One down. You're going to put it in the roti box, and you can either add butter or ghee or a little bit of oil just to keep it moist, and just add it on the edges so that it's not going to dry up. That's it. Okay, so that's one roti down. Hey Drew, welcome. You'd like to place an order for delivery? All right, so head over to the website. The menu for Tuesday is up there. It's queenscurrykitchen.com. You'll be able to see everything, and you can place the order for a half a week or a full week, whatever you desire. Okay, so this is doing its thing. In the meantime, I'm going to use this time and make one more roti for you guys. Also, if you're new to roti making and your first roti does not puff up, do not be disheartened. It happens all the time. Or pita bread, because it's much thinner than pita. I'm going to go and use the same technique of pressing it with my fingers and thinning out the sides. Right? So just make sure the sides are thin. Plop it down on the board. Cleaned out the dry flour from here. Plopped it on the board, and I'm going to roll it back and forth. Get some dry flour. Back and forth, back and forth. Dredging it in the dry flour, back and forth. And you see, like, you have to build the momentum. So when one side is loose and one side is tight, it almost works like the torque. And then you're able to turn the roti automatically, so you don't have to constantly flip it. If you're new, of course, you'd have to pick it up and flip it every time. But as you get seasoned and as you get into making rotis for a long time in your life, then you actually are able to manipulate and maneuver the roti with the rolling pin. So you really don't need to flip it as many times. Okay, so this is my second one. I'm just going to take it, going to pat it back and forth to dust off the excess dry flour because that tends to burn. It goes down. I put the heat up. Let's take a quick look at our gobi aloo and see how it's doing. Drew, if you have any questions, you can always send me a text message. So I'll make sure that your ordering process is very easy. If you still can't find it or if you're having trouble, then just call me or email me after the live, right? So I'm constantly checking on the potatoes to see that they're well done. I'm going to increase the heat just a little bit. Back to the roti. You see, again, it's getting those tiny bubbles. So these are the clues that you have to look out for to know when is the right time to flip this roti, right? So you're going to flip it. This is the first flip. This side underside needs to get the brown spots. So the sequence is soft bubbles on top, brown spots at the bottom, and then the final flip on the flame. If you don't want to cook directly on the flame, you can actually do the third flip and keep it on the pan and then press it with the napkin to manipulate the steam and to get the brown spots, okay? What's your best advice with frying corn tortillas to keep them from breaking, dip into sauce? Well, if you're frying them, first of all, make sure that they're not dry, right? And also, it should just be a very quick dip in and out. See, this is my second roti. It's coming along. Drew, I'm going to address your question in just a moment, okay? Just give me a moment. I need to focus on this. And you can see that while it was puffing up, there's a crack that developed, but I just plugged the hole and it allows me to cook it nicely, right? So this is the second roti. It's done. Again, it's going to go into the roti box. There you go. Okay. And then again, I'm going to add just a little bit of oil or ghee, whatever you have. And then cover it with the tea towel. Put it back again with the cover. Okay, now coming to Drew's question. Drew is asking, what is your best advice? What is your best advice with frying corn tortillas to keep them from breaking? Dip into the sauce or the broth first. Okay, for one thing, corn tortillas are not traditional to Indian cooking. We do have corn arepas that we make, but that's a whole different tutorial. If you have corn tortillas that you're trying to fry, first of all, it's you can actually air fry them instead of deep frying them in oil, so that can prevent it from breaking. And also use a pair of tongs, just fry them lightly. So take a shallow pan, fry them lightly, and then flip them over with this. Don't try to get in with like spatulas or whatever, it is going to break them. And don't dip them in the sauce. If you're trying to use the corn tortillas to make enchiladas or something, then just give it a quick flash fry and take it out. That creates a barrier and it prevents the enchiladas from sogging up after you put the sauce on. So that's the reason why you want to dip them in the sauce or whatever. Try to fry them first in an air fryer or crisp them up on a pan, and then when you know that they're sturdy, you can add them to the oil, right? But just shallow fry them. Don't try to deep fry them. It goes crazy in too much oil. All right. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir. You can see it's coming along really well. So your vegetables will cook with two things, either with water or the steam that's generated from oil, and it's totally up to you whether you want to use one or the other, or more of one, less of the other. And now you can see that the potatoes are softening up. I'm going to cut right through this, right? But it's still got this whiteness in the center, which means that it's still not quite done. And you can see the edges are still sharp, right? So the cauliflower has not broken down, which is good. I want the florets to hold their shape, but I don't want them to be raw. So I'm just going to gather everything in the middle. And whenever you mix these kind of delicate vegetables, always go under and give it a flip. Don't go and zhuzh everything. It's going to break all the delicate florets. So go under and then give it a flip. That's the technique that you have to follow. Or then give the pan a good shake and everything will fall in place. And then just clean out the sides. Time to put the cover back on again. I'm going to make the third roti. Any questions? Sarah just joined in. So Sarah, welcome. Drew, does that answer your question? Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm going to keep the process going. I'm going to go ahead and make the third roti. Clean out the pan. So this is like a daily activity in pretty much most Indian homes. And some Indian homes also eat parathas for breakfast, which is something that's to be made every day fresh. So there's a lot of rolling and kneading that we do, right? Also, kneading dough is a stress buster. It's also good for your joints. So if you have rheumatic joints or if you have finger joints that are bothering you, you need to be kneading some dough and working with some flour. It's quite therapeutic, right? So I'm just going ahead and pinching the edges like I showed you before. My speed is a little too much, but I can do it very slowly. Pinch, 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 pinch. Okay? So just make a ball, flatten it, and then pinch it. Slap it on the counter. If you guys want to know more about the silicone mat, I'm going to try to see if I can find a link from Amazon and share that. But just send me a DM that that's what you're looking for. Okay? Again, I'm dredging it into the dry flour. This hand is tight and this hand is loose, so that's how the roti automatically moves and manipulates. Your rolling pin manipulates the length and the breadth and the diameter of the roti. And then you have to do it with a very gentle hand so that it doesn't stick to you, right? That's that. Pretty much done. Make sure the edges are even and nothing is bumpy on the edges. Pay close attention to the edges because that's where the rotis tend to be the most raw, especially if you're new to roti making. Give it a gentle tug. Flap it back and forth so that all the dry flour will get dusted off and it's not going to burn your roti. And then you go plop, put it onto the pan. My hands have quite a high resistance because I've been doing this for many years, but don't do this at home. Okay, any questions? Chef Crystal, good afternoon. How are you today? Thank you for joining in. We appreciate you. We appreciate that you're hanging out with us this Sunday afternoon. We are making gobi aloo cauliflower with potatoes, which is a typical Indian dish. And it's vegetarian, and it's gluten-free, and it's nut-free, and it's dairy-free, and it's vegan. So we're making this. Like I said, it's also available in my book, which is called The Vegan Indian Home. It comes in an electronic download onto your inbox if you go to the website and get the book. It's a free download. Sorry, it's not a free download. It's an instant download. And you can start cooking vegan Indian food right away in your home with simple supermarket ingredients. Now again, we got the white bubbles. Now you know we have to go for the brown dots. So we are going to give it a flip. We're going to bring our tea towel and press it very delicately. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. This is actually custom made. And I used to be a fashion designer before I became a chef. So I seldom wear mass-produced things. I like to do custom-made things. And this is an Indian thread pattern that's made by space, dyeing all the yarns and then weaving it. It's called ikat. That's the technique. I could do a whole episode or a whole TikTok live on fashion and food and music. You love me? Okay, I love you too. That's really sweet. Sharon, you made my day. All right, so now you see the big bubbles are here. Let's see if the brown spots are at the bottom. Yep, we got them brown spots. Now it's time to put it directly on the flame and see it go up like a football. There you go. You see that? You can do it in your strongest burner. You can do it in your medium burner. That doesn't matter. But the last splash of heat that you have to give it has to be a very strong flame so that it's immediately going to puff up, and the timing of it has to be perfect so that it does not burn. Okay, so initially you will probably burn a couple of rotis, and that's okay. Hey, nobody learned it in a day. Not even me, not even my mom, not even my mom's mom. So it's all good. In it goes into the roti box. What do you think of this roti box? Isn't it so pretty? Like, there is so much surface design and color in India that you're surrounded by, right? I love the vibrance of our culture. It's so cool. I'm gonna cover this back up. I'm gonna make one more roti for my darling husband for tonight's dinner. I am going to a concert today, so I will not be around to make him fresh rotis. So I'm just gonna make them. I'm gonna put them for him. When he comes home, he can eat his dinner. He can eat a homemade dinner instead of bringing something from the restaurant. All right, so I'm making the fourth roti. Any questions with roti making so far? Any questions with the technique? Any questions with the dough? I will take Q&A soon, but let me just make this last one and then I'll be with you. I'll also show you how the stir fry, how the vegetable, how the sabzi is progressing. I'm going to take this, I'm going to dab it into the dry flour. Pinch the edges, pinch, 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 pinch. Really pinch it so that you can thin it out. Just a really simple thing, no rocket science. Hi Tanisha, welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen and welcome to our gobi, aloo and roti making live. All right, now we're going to start rolling. Again, dredge it into the dry flour. Roll it, dredge again. You don't have to dredge it till you feel like it's sticking to the rolling pin. If it sticks to the rolling pin, then you need to dredge it, otherwise not. So you might go quite a few cycles back and forth without having the need to dredge it. It'll all depend on the kind of flour you have, whether it's a damp day or a hot day, how well your dough is kneaded and how it behaves with the rolling pin. Like this one actually just got a pleat, which I'm just going to ease out because of the elasticity of the dough. I was able to just pull it out. No big deal. And it's super elastic. So you just have to kind of play with your medium and know what the outcome that you want. We are going for some round shapes. If you use this pie mat, of course, it will help you to keep the shapes round. I don't need that help. I'm good. Been doing this 26 years. So just giving it a flip-flop and then boom. This is my last one. I am going to bring you in close and I'm going to show you what the cauliflower with potato is looking like. I'm just going to give it a good stir. It's coming together beautifully. And I just increased the heat, so there's a lot of charring that's happening between the caramelization of the tomato puree and the cauliflower that's coming in contact with the bottom of the pan. So that's really a good sign. You're developing all the deep flavors. That's great. Now you can see this is almost translucent and it's not wet anymore. It's kind of like got that dry top feel. Time to give it a flip. Heat is on high. Trying to grab the napkin. Press it. This helps to really develop those brown spots that you need at the bottom. Sharon, you're so sweet for saying that. I can't get over it. Thank you. Listen, if you're not following this page, follow this page and turn on your notifications so that you'll be able to get notifications when I'm live and you won't miss anything. Pretty sure roti is my new favorite thing to watch being cooked. I might fill one with helium and fly around. All right. So if you do order the meal on the website, Drew, you are going to get 6 rotis for a half week of food or 12 rotis for a full week of food. All right. So now these big bubbles have formed, as you can see. Now is the time to flip it directly on the flame and get it going. There you go. So the next time you eat a roti, just show some love to the person who stood there in the heat and, you know, kind of just stood there and painstakingly rolled each and every one and made a roti for you just so it would be good. But these hot rotis with like nice butter or whipped butter on top with a little bit of sugar, oh my God, it's heaven on a plate with a little cup of chai. I'm telling you, if heaven could be here, it would be in the form of that, right? I was gluten-free for a long time, so I didn't really miss roti. But I also was never a fan of rotis, but people who love their rotis, they find it very hard to give up. Especially when the doctor says, hey, you know, you need to cut down on your carbs, you need to cut down on gluten. I've seen some legit people. So these are all my rotis in the roti box. How cool is that, right? Yummy-licious. We're going to close this back up and put the lid on this. This is ready. I'm going to turn off the stove because we're done with this. Now let me get in there and show you what the cauliflower and potato looks like right now. Okay, you'll just know from the sizzle and the sound and the aromas that it's done. As you can see, there is no water or moisture at the bottom of the pan. All of the water and moisture that we used has gone into creating the steam and cooking the cauliflower and the potatoes perfectly. I'm going to bring a knife and show you. So the cauliflower is still holding its shape. This is all the masala that's well cooked and it's making the base of it, right? So I'm going to go in here and cut it. It's very smooth. It goes in 1, 2, 3. It has a little bit of a bite to it by the stem, and that's great because that's the crunch that you need. This is the potato. You can see I was able to poke it with the knife and pick it up. I'm using the non-blunt side. I'm not using the sharp side. I'm using the non-sharp side, so I'm using the blunt side to cut it through. There you go. This is already done. Okay, it may need a couple of minutes maybe for some potato pieces that were a little bit bigger, and that will happen in the residual heat. Once I turn off the heat, I'll leave the lid on. Just gonna give it a good shake. I'm gonna add cilantro. Now if you have ginger juliennes, definitely add ginger juliennes at this point. Add some cilantro. What I also like to add, which is kind of the umami of Indian food, is chaat masala, and it's available in pretty much all grocery stores, chaat masala. And this is the kind of the sour, tangy powder, salt that you put. And it really gives a nice kick to your food. It's literally the umami of Indian food, pretty much like bouillon or MSG or whatever. It does not have MSG. It has black salt, pink salt, ginger powder, and dry mango powder. So it has like a nice tangy kick to it. That's what makes it unique. Thank you, Drew. So this is already done. I'm going to turn off the stove. The rotis are done. In the time that it took for us to create this live, we have actually finished making these 2 dishes. I'm going to try to plate it really nicely so that y'all can see what it looks like. Let me get one of my pretty plates. Pretty plates. Okay, this is my platter. Let me plate this, and I'm a very big advocate of food that looks pretty, so that I eat with my eyes first, right? So for anything that's a yellow or orange in color, if you plate it on a blue platter or a black platter or like a metallic platter, it looks really pretty because those colors are contrasting and it looks really, really nice. So you can see there is no oil in the pan that's left behind. There is no water in the pan that's left behind. Everything is completely used up. We did not waste our time. And what did it take us? Like 20 minutes, if that, right? So, and if I wasn't talking, it would probably take me even less time, but that's okay. I love talking to you guys, okay? Okay, yeah, all right. So this is here. Let's get down to plating it. Just want to get this one little guy back into, boom, get in there. Just clean the edges of your plate. So we have 5 restaurants in Manhattan, my family, and so I'm very particular about how the food is plated and whatnot, right? We always eat with our eyes first. And then just to add a little pop of color, you can either add fresh tomatoes or whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and add just this little red pepper. It has no function in the dish except that it's going to make my pictures look very pretty. Right? So whenever you add anything red or green on top of your food, it gives this look of warmth and makes your dish very inviting. So some of the things that you can do is put cherry tomatoes on your food. You could put herbs, you could put parsley, you could put any herb of choice. You can also put bell peppers or red peppers, green peppers, whatever you got. Alrighty, so this is something that you would pay probably $17.99 in an Indian restaurant. And of course, they don't make rotis on the stovetop. They only make naan, so that's the difference, right? So here we go. Today's creations. We have our gobi aloo, which is right here. If you want to take pictures, you certainly can. Yes, these pop and these taste really good. These bowls are nice, right? Yes, these were actually custom made. I had them made in India, and I have a batch coming in. So if you want to order some, then just send me a DM. I'm going to share the price list with you, and you can see some of the bowls that I have. These are all ceramic, and these are handmade. I'll show you a couple of others that I also have in case you're interested. And all of these I actually bought. I had them handmade by an artist in India. So this is like a chip and dip bowl, and it's nice and blue. This is also ceramic. Yes, it is Indian. It is from India, right? This is also handmade, and it's ceramic. So all the Indian dishes with the yellows and the oranges look really good on this. Then I have another one that I'd like to show you. Okay. So this is like a serving bowl with an appetizer plate, and you can see it has a matte texture on the outside and a nice glossy texture, right? So yes, so you know what, Trixin, if you want any of these, just send me a DM and I'll be able to send you pictures and prices. Yes, I'm Indian. Yes, I'm Indian. I'm half Bengali, half Punjabi. So I was born in Calcutta, but I lived in New Delhi for pretty much most of my life. And then I've lived in New York City for the last 26 years. Yes, half Punjabi and half Bengali. That's me. My husband is Sindhi. So I speak 6 languages from India and make the food from 3 different regions of India, right? So this is the other one that I have. If anyone wants to get more information about these plates, I will be bringing them on my website. They're just not ready yet. So once I have the delivery, I will be able to share this with you guys. Also, if you want to get a free chana masala recipe download, head over to the website, queenscurrykitchen.com. The recipe is on the website. Just put in your email address. It's an instant download. Yes, please come to my house. I don't know where you live, but I'm in New York City. So if you're ever in New York, hit me up, girl. Let's do this, okay? If you go to the website, you'll also be able to find my chai masala or masala chai. This already has everything mixed in for you. So it has Assam black tea. It has cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, fennel seeds, and also ginger powder and black pepper. So all you got to do is just boil it with hot water and add the milk of your choice, and then you can drink it iced or hot. So this is also on the website. It comes with a little wooden spoon and a little organza bag, gift wrapped. You can also find the masala box that we spoke about. Shipping for all items on my website is free in the US. So if you want to get a masala box loaded or unloaded, you can also just order only the spice refills, and that's possible as well. Okay, so here are our rotis. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate your kind words. That's really sweet of you to say that. These are our homemade rotis, and this is our gobi aloo. So a very humble meal by all standards, but something that we do pretty much every day in Indian homes. And these are the kind of dishes that I make, and these are the kind of pictures that you'll see in all of my recipe books. If you go onto the website, there's a lot of ebooks on the subject. There's a book about restaurant curry secrets and all the basic sauces and how we make them in the restaurant. You'll also see books on street food. You will see books on all of the rice dishes. You'll see a book on the breads of India. So there's a book for everything. If you ever find the time, it's all ebooks, so you can download it into your iPad, take it into your kitchen and start cooking with whatever it is. I try to keep the ingredients very approachable and accessible, so I don't really use too many exotic things to make Indian food. I myself shop in a lot of supermarkets, so I want to make that experience accessible to everybody, and I feel like it shouldn't be the thing that keeps you from trying a recipe, right? So right now supermarkets have come a long way and they have evolved. Plus we have Amazon that ships everything to everyone. Definitely consider looking into your local Indian grocery stores or supermarkets, just regular American supermarkets. You will see a lot of stuff that I feature over here. You should be able to recreate pretty much all of these recipes, okay? So with that, I am going to say goodbye today. Be blissful and flavorful. Drew, you can head over to the website. If you have any problems, just send me a text message or send me a PM and I'll see why you're having problems ordering. The delivery day for this week's orders is Tuesday. The food will come to you. Yes, so there is, paneer is becoming so popular now. If you can't find paneer, go to a Middle Eastern store and get halloumi. It pretty much will do the same thing. Whatever recipes you can make with paneer, you can also try to do it with firm tofu. Sometimes the taste is not exactly the same, but if you're vegan, then that's a great choice, right? So thank you everybody that decided to join me on this Sunday afternoon. I hope you have a blissful weekend. I will see you in another video. Like I said, follow this page so you'll get all the notifications whenever I'm live next. I will see you soon. Don't do anything crazy. Be blissful, be flavorful, and have yourselves a great weekend. Bye-bye now.